Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Jennings of Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, and this is Brewer to Brewer podcast from All About Beer. My guest today is Scott Brimmer of Brimmer Brewing Company, and he's here for a conversation that goes beyond the brewhouse and into topics that matter to brewing professionals and curious beer drinkers. First, visit allaboutbeer.com and follow on social media at allaboutbeer. To support journalism in the beer space, check out patreon.com/allaboutbeer. And we'll get into the conversation in just a moment. But first, this message.
I'm David Seiler from Stone's Throw Brewing in Charleston, South Carolina, and I use Malteurop because they have great products and customer service. The new warehouse has been an amazing upgrade to Malteurop service, which I really didn't think was even possible. The short turnaround time has been great for me. Being able to pivot and change brew days is crucial to any brewery. The ability to switch things at the end of the week, knowing I'll have grain within a couple of days for placing my order, means I can be much more fluid with my brew days. It has severely decreased my anxiety as a planner, and less stress is such a great feeling. Contact Malteurop today and visit malteuropmaltingco.com.
Attention brewers, registration is now open for the 2025 Best of Craft Beer Awards. This is a BJCP sanctioned competition judged by fellow brewers and industry leaders. It uses a unique set of style guidelines that champions harmonious and dynamic beers. Held in beautiful Central Oregon, it's the third largest professional brewing competition in North America and is an opportunity to have your hard work evaluated and rewarded. In addition to traditional and specialty beer styles, new this year is the hop water category. Register your beers through January 31, 2025 by visiting bestofcraftbeerawards.com/register. Don't delay. Learn more and get your beers signed up by visiting bestofcraftbeerawards.com/register.
If there's one spice that brings winter warmth to beers of the season, it's cinnamon. First Tea is your source for cinnamon, ginger, and other botanicals to make your season bright. Looking for other new seasonal ideas? Email info@firsttea.com. That's FIRSDTEA to find the right teas and botanicals for your next project.
All right, so let's start here. A little bit about my guest today. Scott Brimmer has been a resident of Japan for the past 19 years. He is currently director brewer of Brimmer Brewing Company, which he and his wife started up in 2011 in Kawasaki City. He also worked 5 years for a Japanese brewery called Gotenba Kogen Brewing, located in the beautiful countryside near Mount Fuji. Before moving to Japan, he worked for Sierra Nevada Brewing Company from 1997 to 2006. And while attending Chico State, he started off as a dishwasher in the tap room and moved to Japan with the title of brewer. So welcome, Scott. Great to see you again. How have you been?
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, it's been quite a long time. Real pleasure to see you. I'm looking forward to catching up a little bit, hearing how things are going for you. But just to start off with, I thought I'd go through a series of questions here.
Okay.
Little get to know you kind of stuff here. So just for fun, these are either or questions. So fire away, rapid fire here. We'll start with maybe the hardest one first. Ale or lager?
This is not rapid fire. Let's go ale.
Okay, all right. Pizza or ramen?
I'm still sticking pizza on that one.
Okay.
I got plenty of ramen. It's tough to find a good pizza over here.
Okay, good to know. AC/DC or Rush?
Ooh, depends on the mood, but no, I'm thinking I need a little AC/DC to wake up over here. It's morning over in Japan, so
It is. It's 8 a.m. I guess, right about then, where you are. All right. Beach or mountains?
Oh, I'd say more beach. I'd go beach on that one.
Beach. All right.
Love the mountains, but beach. I always think of more vacation style.
Gotcha. Spring or fall?
I would go spring.
All
Kind of
right.
a spring, kind of like you're starting to heat up after the winter, and it's not too hot yet. So yeah, I'd go spring.
Yeah, we hear a lot about the famous cherry blossoms in Japan. That'll be
Mm-hmm.
coming up in about a month or something, right?
Yeah, it's called Sakura over here. So the place that I lived over near Mount Fuji was known for just some beautiful, just like tons of the sakura trees or the cherry blossoms out there. A lot of people
Wow.
from Tokyo go out there, like just to view the trees for the on weekends and stuff like that. It's kind of like a little tourist destination.
Oh, right. Right. That must be
But,
beautiful.
but there are plenty to visit in Tokyo and stuff like that. But a lot of people like to go out to the countryside to check it out for, like it's a good day trip.
Oh, yeah. Hmm. How about Mozart or Coltrane?
I'd go Coltrane. That one's pretty quick. I'll go Coltrane first on that.
Okay. Okay. Sake or wine?
I'd go sake on that one. So,
Okay. All right. Interesting. Football or soccer?
mm, I love playing soccer, but I'd rather watch football.
Got it. Got it. Let's see here. Sushi or sashimi?
I'd probably just go sashimi on that one.
I imagine you've learned a heck of a lot about Japanese cuisine in the last 19 years.
Yeah, I should probably know a lot more than I do because I don't know. It's like our whole family still has a little bit more of a Western palate. We don't have like too much quote unquote Japanese food, like every day or anything like that. So I think last night I had chili. It was like chicken chili or something like that. So
Yeah,
we're not too hardcore when it comes to sticking to the Japanese diet.
got it. Well, we'll bring it back to beer here. One last question. Bottles or cans?
Mm. All right. I kind of like just your standard traditional bottle, but cans can be so convenient too. So yeah, I don't know. Well, like at least as far as our production, we do bottles. We don't do cans. So I'll say stick to bottles.
There you go. There you go. Well, cool, man. Well, thanks for that. Appreciate it. I wonder if you could just remind me your story. Do I remember right? You're from uh, maybe Modesto area?
Well, absolutely. You still remember. So yeah, originally from Modesto, California, and then was when it came time to go check out some colleges, there were a few different that I was thinking about, but went up to Chico to check it out, and I think it was like a kind of a pre-orientation kind of a weekend that you could stay out there and check out the campus and meet some of the teachers and just kind of hang out. So I was over there and then ended up just meeting a few other students and stuff like that. So we ended up just hanging out on campus, and nighttime kind of came along, and one of them's just like going, "Hey, there's a brewery here." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And I actually hadn't heard of Sierra Nevada yet, and I was just like going, "Oh, cool," because in Modesto they had St. Stan's Brewing over
Oh yeah,
there. So
yeah,
we
yeah.
kind of already knew about like craft beer and stuff like that. And St. Stan's was pretty good back in the days. We like to enjoy those. So I was like going, "Hey, yeah, let's go check it out." So uh, whipped out my handy dandy fake ID and went over to the 7-Eleven downtown and got a 6-pack. And then we all had a beer over near the that outdoor auditorium,
Oh
kind of
yeah,
on the edge of campus over
yeah.
near
Right on the creek. Yeah.
downtown. So we were all like just having a beer over there, and I was just like, "Oh my god, this is the most wonderful beer I've ever had." It was like the Sierra Nevada Pale,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just like proclaimed to everyone, I'm just like going, I'm going to school here and I'm going to get a job over here, over at the Sierra Nevada.
Wow, that was the
That
moment, huh?
actually ended up happening. So that's kind of cool.
Wow. Okay. So that moment inspired you to really work your way into and through the Sierra Nevada company.
Yeah, a little bit. It took quite a while to get my foot in the door to get that dishwashing job. I think it was probably about my third year over at Chico State. One of my neighbors, kind of around the corner, some of them worked over at the pub, and I was knew them for quite a while, and then was nagging them, just kind of like going, "Hey, you guys hiring?" And I think they were going, "Hey, if you don't mind washing dishes, we could probably talk to someone." And I was like, "Oh,
Huh.
hey, yeah, let's do it." And so ended up talking to some people at the pub and got my first job dishwashing. So that was pretty fun.
Oh, yeah. Then you were a bartender for
Oh man, I
quite
did
a
a
while
little bit
there.
of everything. Yeah, I like went dishwashing and then bussing tables and then bartending, tour guide, kind of wherever you need some help, I'll help out and stuff like that. But tour guide's really where I got interested, really on the production side, because all of us in the pub, we were had to do like a super easy but good to know kind of like a brewery test and just like basic knowledge on beer and brewing and stuff like that. And then I always did pretty good on that one. One day when the tour guide didn't show up, they were like going, "Hey, Scott, can you do the tour for us?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So ended up giving a tour and did pretty well. And so like I turned out to be like usually the one who gave most of the tours and stuff like that for a while. But I would usually get a lot of sometimes home brewers or real beer aficionados that would come in and ask questions that I don't know. And so I'd usually just talk to the brewers after a tour and like go, "Oh, what do they mean by this or what do they mean by that?" And they
Yeah.
usually give me some insight. So I got to know the brewers a little bit that way, and then they also kind of just got me into like more of the production and the brewing side and stuff.
Yeah. 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 I remember that as well. Hmm. And let me think. Can you take us through moving to Japan and maybe your decisions regarding starting a brewery there.
Yeah, that was pretty long, but also my history with Sierra Nevada too. It's like I didn't just work my way through that, but I also did take some of the classes over at UC Davis for it, and so I did do some like education stuff, and that really helped to let me step into the role of more of the production side and stuff like that.
Right.
So the education really helped, but uh, my wife was originally a student over at Chico State, so we met as students. And after she graduated, she ended up moving to Japan, and then crazy chain of events happened. But we got back together, and then she decided to move back to the States, and then we ended up getting married. And so once we were married over there, I think we were married, living there for probably about 5 years or something like that. And then I was already into brewing, and which was my dream job at the point. But yeah, her
Hmm.
family wasn't in good health, and it was time to really be close to them. And so, like, her brother has had like he was on dialysis for over 10 years and stuff like that. And so he was getting weaker, and then her mom was getting older. Her dad passed away when she was like 18 years old, and so there was one fateful day where I think she was not a happy camper. She was pretty depressed and crying and stuff like that, and kind of sad about like her brother. And I was just like, hey, you know what? If it's really important, like we can go be close to them and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, really? And then kind of the next morning kind of comes around and it's like, oh no, was it just kind of like a just settle her down thing? And she's like, so are you serious? You want to do this? I'm like, yeah, All right, yeah. So kind of just made the decision to be close to her family, and so that's kind of why we moved over here. And so it was rough because I thought I was going to be a Sierra Nevada for life
Hmm.
over there, and so probably a lot of people did. And so,
Sure.
and normally I probably would have, but the way things had it, like we ended up just moving over here, and then um, got my first job over, kind of like I said, over near Mount Fuji, which is probably about like an hour and a half to 2 hours from like where we live right now. So it's not too far away. So we could
No,
still
no. Was
do
that
things.
the Gotemba?
Yeah, that's a Gotemba Kogan Brewery. I had just a short stint with an American over here. It's not on the resume, but I just spent like about maybe a month or two with him. His name was Brian Baird. He started up Baird Brewing. So they're
Oh,
a pretty famous brewery over here. And then, so he helped me out, and then pretty much got a pretty solid job with Gotemba Kogan from there. So they were kind of more of a, kind of like what I was saying, almost like a tourist destination kind of brewery. And they've got they're basically just a brewery, and then they've got a few different restaurants there, and then it's just like a whole onsen, or onsen is like a hot springs kind of
okay.
resort area and stuff like
Oh,
that. So a
wow.
lot of people
Okay.
stay for the weekend and stuff like that. So it's like busy year round, so it's pretty fun. And then that company
What
was,
was?
hmm?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, that company was pretty interesting because uh, basically our parent company was a meat company called Yonaq, and then their parent company was Kirin Beer. So we were just like
Ah,
in the line basically of a Kirin Brewing. So, but they
okay.
also kind of changed hands a few different times. So now they actually they're with a company called Tokino Sumika or something like that, I think. But yeah, that's more of a Japanese thing than anything.
Right. Well, what kind of beers were you making there? Was that anything at all like what you would expect in U.S. craft at the time?
Well, that's why it was really fun too. It was more like a German style beers. So we were doing Weizen, Pils, Weizenbach, Schwartz. Those were the four that we did year round, and then we'd always
Oh,
do a
wow.
specialty also. So a
Huh.
lot of craft beer over here is a lot of German beer actually.
Okay, so really traditional German styles. Is that
Yeah,
still the
like when the
case today?
like when the laws changed over here about 96, 97 or so, when you could start having like small breweries, get a small brewing license. A lot of Germans came over here and they were teaching the Japanese how to brew and stuff like that. So a lot of the people in the beginning were all doing like Pilsners, Weissens, and stuff like that. And then
Hmm.
even the equipment that we got came from Germany. It was a brewery over in Hiroshima that went bankrupt. And then we ended up purchasing their equipment and bringing it up here. But it was really nice, like used German equipment that we got.
Wow. Okay. Huh. So that's really interesting. So, hmm. I wonder what you might think about regarding your UC Davis education experience at Sierra Nevada, and then applying that to making German style beers.
Oh,
Well,
but it was fun though. I learned a lot though working there too because we did everything from uh, brewing to filtering to serving and packaging. Like we did cans and bottles and
wow.
everything over there. So and then also just a lot of work in general too. So like sometimes we'd even have like a full day at the brewery and then have to work for another maybe like 2 or 3 hours if the restaurants are busy or something like that, just pouring beer and stuff like that. So,
Oh, wow.
but
Well,
yeah,
that's
working a lot. And then
huh.
those were the days too where we're taking trains and stuff like that to work. And most people are used to seeing like the super busy Tokyo trains and stuff, but the trains out in the countryside are like not nowhere near that. They're like sometimes at night they were one train per hour and stuff like that. So
Oh, wow.
sometimes
Okay.
after work, if I got to the station, then if I just missed the train, then it's like you got to wait a whole hour until another one comes.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't mind too bad because over near the train station, they actually had a beer vending machine. And so I could just like get a tall boy from a vending machine and just wait at the train and have a beer while I waited.
What beers were in the vending machine? Do you remember?
More like all big company stuff like Asahi, Sapporo, Super, like Asahi Super Dry, Kirin, different stuff like that. But I think that one was mostly Asahi stuff in that vending machine.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. That sounds really cool. Some good memories there probably. Sounds like a lot of hard work, but I guess you were, I don't know, I'm guessing here, but kicking around the idea of starting a brewery during that time?
And again, it's like as far as a lot of people that start their breweries, it's like I was never that guy that says I want to start a brewery. I mean,
Huh.
no, I mean that was really never my thing. Kind of one of the a couple reasons why I started it is because like after like close to 5 years working there, like I kind of realized there's as far as being a foreigner, like I'm probably only going to raise so high throughout the ranks and stuff like that. And that's not to say uh, it's a Japanese versus America thing. That's more like my Japanese is horrible. The grasp of the Japanese language is just like awful. My brain just was not hardwired for like learning languages or anything like that.
Oh,
And
at the time, maybe.
so,
Okay, I could
no,
see
I
it,
mean
but by now, you
no,
gotta
even
be.
still, it's
Oh,
pathetic. It's
no way! I
pathetic
don't
compared to
believe
what it
that.
should be. I can get by, but it's
Okay.
pathetic compared to what it should be. And then even
Yeah.
my son laughs at me when he gives me like he'll just to make fun of me. Sometimes he'll give me a vocab quiz and stuff like that, and half the time I'm just BSing something. I'm like I have no idea. So,
Wow.
but also kind of what happened too is like I remember that was pretty close to the time when things started rolling for Asheville and stuff like that, and so North
Yeah.
Carolina
Right.
started going, and then it was either on a visit or like I think I saw Dressler over at the brewing conference over in Chicago. Over at they had like a WBC there, and I was like a judge
Hmm.
at one of the WBCs, and then he was kind of also hinting like that Asheville's coming along, and it'd be like if we were if we were planning on moving back home anytime and stuff like that. He was like, it'd be nice to have some brewers that know the system and are would be a easy fit either there or Chico. Well, they send other people from Chico and stuff like that, and then so I was telling Yoshiko, well, both of these, I was kind of like going, like I'm never really going to go that far, within a Japanese company, and they're looking for people. So, are we going to stay for quite a while, or are we going to go back? And she was like, oh no, we're this is kind of our thing right now. They can't just ditch her mom or anything like that. So it's like since we made it over here, we got to stay, and so we kind of had a compromise where, all right, well, if we're going to stay, then maybe let's do a company where I've got a little bit more freedom to kind of move past, like a basic just brewer and stuff like that. And so she was like, well, you find the equipment, you figure everything out, and then she'll do the paperwork. She'll do the business side and get a loan and get the license and stuff like that. And so that's how we worked everything out.
Wow. Wow.
And
What
so
a cool
we decided
story.
on Kawasaki. So I moved to Kawasaki, and then the company over at Go Timba, they still wanted to keep me on for another 6 months or so. And so I was like commuting back and forth from the Shinkansen, or most people know like the bullet train. I was basically taken to the
Hmm.
countryside every morning and stuff. And then The license took quite a long time. So I think from about conception to getting our license took about a year or so. And then I think I stopped working for Gotemba, and then we still had about another 6 months. And we were pretty much just preparing the factory and laying cement and starting to move equipment in. And we still haven't had a license yet. So we don't really have a job. And so I think Yoshiko and I got bored for a while, and we were just like even delivering phone books during the daytime and stuff like that for fun. So, well, not for fun, for money, but
Yeah.
what we were
Wow.
doing.
Did you have to build the facility, the building?
Not the whole building. It started out just as just a warehouse, and so
Okay.
we had to build up the concrete for drainage and stuff like that. And so we just had to prepare an existing building for brewing and stuff like that. Mostly drains and electricity and all that kind of stuff.
Are there any other small breweries in your area?
Not really. I think we're the largest craft brewery in the city of Kawasaki. There's quite a few more of the kind of, I guess you'd call it like nano breweries and stuff like that. I think most of the other breweries are usually 200 liters up to 500 liters, and then I think we're the largest one as far as capacity goes. We've got the brew house is 10 hectoliters or 1,000 liters, and that's about 8.5 barrels if you're into barrels. And then most of our fermenters are double tanks, so 17 barrel tanks. And then we've got 11 fermenters and then 4 bright beer tanks.
Wow, that's pretty good sized.
So that's decent. We can put out some beer, and then we're kind of at a pretty mellow, just kind of a cruising speed right now after all the COVID closures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We picked back up again, but now like we only have an employee. We're probably doing cruising speed for us is about maybe 1,200 barrels a year, somewhere around there. Or I mean, let's see, no, barrels are messing me up. 1,000, yeah, 1,200, somewhere around there is cruising speed. I think our the highest we've gotten up to was about a little shy of 3,000 barrels. So
wow,
that was smoking for us. That was like nonstop double brews, and unfortunately, sometimes when we were like really stretching some 10-day beers that were going out the door and stuff like that.
Oh wow, that is turning and burning. Oh man, what beers are you making? Do you have a core lineup? Do you get to put out limited stuff?
Our core lineup, we do 3 year round. That's pale ale, porter, and golden ale. So we wanted to do something light, something dark, and pretty much every brewery's got its pale ale and stuff like that. So we do those 3 year rounds. Sometimes we have a specialty, but these days we don't really have the room for a specialty. Most of or not most, but close to 40% of our business is contract brews and OEM beers and stuff like that. We do a lot of work for other breweries too. So
okay.
kind of we're not very good at, and we know it as far as like sales and marketing, and so we really don't do very much. And so we really don't try to push our own private beer too much, and so that way we've got a lot of space for other people. It seems like a lot of other people want their own brands and
Okay.
won't have the space, or
Sure.
sometimes they just don't want to start up a company, and we're the ones that help out. So
No, that's
and
solid, man.
that's kind of what I enjoy doing too, because sometimes they have fun ideas, and then it's fun for me to make something different.
Right. Right. So you don't have to worry about a tap room or a pub. Your production brewery, uh, kegs and bottles sounds like.
Yep.
All right. Yeah,
So
that's awesome,
kegs
man.
and
So you get
bottles, and
collaborate essentially all the time
mm,
with gypsy brewers or
mhm.
new brands or things like that.
Yep. So yeah, I think one of our biggest brands is there's a Kawasaki professional basketball team,
Okay.
and so we do a beer for them, and then kind of at the games, like they've got girls going up and down the stairs and stuff like that, and they've got a keg on their back, and they'll serve some beer and stuff like that. So we
Oh
do
wow.
beer for them, and so that sells quite well. So during basketball season, we're pretty busy, and there's some other breweries that we've done beers for that don't really have can't handle the production for some of their brands, and so we'll do some of their beers sometimes for them. And then
Yeah.
there's also some restaurants chains that kind of want their own brands, and we've done those for other people too. So,
Wow.
and then
That's fascinating. Hmm.
yeah, we do regular bottles. Kind of one of the newest bottles that are kind of neat that we do too are we do 1.5 liter PET bottles or plastic bottles,
Uh-huh.
and there's a home draft dispense system that a company makes, and so you kind of slip one of these PET bottles in there, and it's like a real small footprint. It's got a little CO2 cartridge on it and stuff like that. People can have a home beer dispense and stuff like that. So,
I've seen something like that.
mhm.
It's almost like a you know, like a soda bottle, like one of the
Yeah.
larger. Well, I think they're 2 liters in terms of soda, so this is
Mhm.
a little similar. But yeah, that's awesome. Is that a popular thing in Japan? A lot of breweries doing that.
Not a whole lot, but it's starting to get more popular. The company that does the machines has a magazine, basically an order form for the customers, and so you have to go through them, and they've got a list, and more people are coming on board because they're selling quite a bit, and so
Wow.
yeah, I think that's about maybe probably a good at least 10%, 15% probably of our business is those PET bottles.
Wow. We I've seen the PET kegs, kind of
Mhm,
one-way kegs, that kind of
mhm,
stuff. But I've always thought that there's got to be room for innovation on the packaging side. I mean, just Sierra Nevada, for example. I mean, you might already know this, but we're doing way more cans than we're doing bottles
okay.
nowadays. You
Mhm,
probably remember a time when bottles or cans was like a no way, not going there kind of a thing
right.
from Ken himself.
Mhm,
But the market changed, and now we're doing a lot more cans than we are bottles, and it's still growing. And uh, one of the many reasons is recyclability of
mhm,
aluminum versus glass. And I've always thought, uh, as everybody knows, way better than recycling is reusing. So why isn't
mhm,
there some kind of a returnable, reusable, you know, uh, not a full keg. Most people don't want a keg, but
mhm.
something like this 2 liter system. That's really interesting to hear about.
But yeah, pretty cool. And so I think the company also gave us a pretty good kind of subsidy that we could buy a new bottle machine that could handle regular glass bottles, and then it's got change parts to where we can do it for the 1.5 pets too. So it's kind of
Oh
a cool
wow.
machine. Mhm.
What's the closure like? Is it a screw top like a large soda bottle or?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Hmm. That is really cool. You probably remember those mini kegs. I think there were 5 liter kegs that
Oh, sure. Uh-huh.
brewers like Oh, Heineken and maybe a few German breweries were doing some time ago, where you had the little CO2 cartridge
A
dispense
little,
system thing.
uh-huh. Or sometimes
Yeah,
pull the little spigot out and you've got your
yeah,
own little draft dispense in there.
yeah. You hardly even see those anymore. But wow, well,
So
that's really.
do you pretty much can all styles now, or more, or do you even
Uh,
do like mini bottles of the like porter or stout or something like that anymore?
oh no, we do.
Do
It's pretty small amounts on those. We certain brands we don't can at all, like Bigfoot, for example. That would be maybe a little unusual to find that
you?
in a can. I don't know how I'd feel about that, but most things we do can and bottle both. But
Okay.
it's really market driven. It just depends on, is it a variety pack beer? Is it a standalone beer? What markets is it going to? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I've got a celebration. Uh, what do you call it? Celebration fresh hop, I think.
Hmm.
Got I've got one of those at home. So one our employee found one over at a supermarket and stuff like that, and so he grabbed it for me. And so if it wasn't so early in the morning, I'd be drinking one with you, but still a little early.
Oh man, that's cool. That's
And
really
that's
cool.
kind of cool. There's a company called Nagano Trading, which brings in
Mhm.
Sierra Nevada over here, and so I've been friends with their family for a long time, and so they were always interested in getting Sierra Nevada over here, and gave them a introduction to Ken and Steve over at the Chicago place again too, and then I think he was saying he doesn't know, like Sierra Nevada wasn't that interested at first and stuff like that. I'm like, well, keep pushing them, like let them know you're there, and like be seen, and keep asking questions. And finally, they got the account to bring Sierra Nevada in, but they bring it in great condition. Sierra Nevada's always tasting excellent over here.
Oh, that is really good to know. Well, that's great. Huh. Well, this might be a good time for a quick break. We'll do a quick sponsor message here, and we'll be right back.
Attention brewers. Registration is now open for the 2025 Best of Craft Beer Awards. This is a BJCP sanctioned competition judged by fellow brewers and industry leaders. It uses a unique set of style guidelines that champions harmonious and dynamic beers. Held in beautiful Central Oregon, it's the third largest professional brewing competition in North America and is an opportunity to have your hard work evaluated and rewarded. In addition to traditional and specialty beer styles, new this year is the hop water category. Register your beers through January 31, 2025 by visiting bestofcraftbeerawards.com/register. Don't delay. Learn more and get your beers signed up by visiting bestofcraftbeerawards.com/register.
I'm David Seiler from Stone Throw Brewing in Charleston, South Carolina, and I use Malt Europe because they have great products and customer service. The new warehouse has been an amazing upgrade to Malt Europe service, which I really didn't think was even possible. The short turnaround time has been great for me. Being able to pivot and change brew days is crucial to any brewery. The ability to switch things at the end of the week, knowing I'll have grain within a couple of days for placing my order, means I can be much more fluid with my brew days. It has severely decreased my anxiety as a planner, and less stress is such a great feeling. Contact Malt Europe today and visit malteuropemaltingco.com.
First, he invites you to talk cinnamon for a second. Cinnamon evokes so many flavor memories, including apple pie, horchata, and French toast. First Tea has cinnamon and other botanicals you need for that perfect flavor experience you're looking to create. Contact the team at First Tea about cinnamon and their other botanicals by emailing info@firsttea.com. That's FIRSDTEA.com.
All right, welcome back. So yeah, Scott Brimmer, man, I mean, I'm just blown away by how time flies. You're, I guess if my math is right, you're 14 years, owner operator of your own
Hmm.
brewery. That is absolutely an incredible accomplishment
Ah, that's
anywhere,
great.
let
I'm
alone if you travel. across the world and do it in a different country. I mean, holy crap, that's incredible. Uh,
The
I can
way you
only
make it,
imagine you ran into some wild times just trying to get going, and you know paperwork and licensing, and I can't even guess what all
there's
difficulties you encountered.
some gnarly stuff along the way, but in the end, usually you just remember all the good and fun stuff. So it's but there's been some tough times. It's kind of weird over here though too. It's like to get a license. Oh, okay. There's a good one. To even get your license, you have to prove that you can do 60,000 liters a year, which is about 500 barrels.
Okay,
And
so
so
that's a minimum amount to get a
well,
license.
to get a beer brewing license. So okay, there's two different types of license that you can get: beer brewing or hoppershoe. And so hoppershoe is it's still kind of beer, but it's low malt beer. It's known to be the low malt. They use adjuncts for the big breweries because they're looking for a tax break.
Okay,
So
I've heard about this. It isn't necessarily low ABV.
mm,
It's uh, ingredients that are taxed.
right. Well, no, it's not ABV, but it's just the final volume tax per liter of beer. But
Okay,
no, I think they were saving money by using less malt, and so you get a tax. They got a tax break on it, so that's kind of like why they did it. So I don't know why it happened, but anyways, like
okay,
when we
so
were
that became kind of a, I don't know, could you call that a style, Haposhu?
yeah, it's definitely a style, but some of the small craft breweries get around this by getting a hop shoe license, where you only need to prove that you can do 6,000, which is 50 barrels a year.
Okay,
And so, what you can do is just have a regular beer, but if you throw something non-beer approved into it, it could be called hoppershoe. And so,
like what?
sometimes even if something weird, like if you throw like some kettle findings in there or something like that, like it's they're gonna go from beer to hoppershoe at that point. And
Oh,
so
so these are, in a
they
way, there's some loopholes in the system.
weird rules. And so, but
Okay,
when
it
we were
reminds me a little bit of some of the stories I hear from German brewers on working within the Reinheitsgebot.
Mhm. And so, I mean, that's kind of how it was set up here too. It's like I think they got a lot of the really what beer is from the German purity laws and stuff like that. It's just like it's got to be malt, hops, yeast, and water and stuff like that. Anything else, then it's basically it's not beer and stuff. But
Huh.
um, as
Okay,
far
so
as
what
as far
license did you
as
end up
far as
getting?
as far as us, like I really had a big problem. I didn't want to be associated with Hoppershoe at that point. I didn't because you have to label, like whether it's beer or Hoppershoe on your package, on like
Okay,
your bottle or keg or
yeah.
anything like that. And I
Is
really
that
don't want.
is that like a perceived quality indicator for consumers?
These days it's probably not anymore, but it is for me. It was for me when we got started up. So
Okay,
um, I just didn't want to basically be thrown into that category of being just like a hopper shoe and stuff like that. So we set out
okay.
for the 60,000 and 500 barrels. But what was kind of tough for us too is, before you can even have a product, we still had to like have signatures of people that intend to buy our product. And so we had to
Oh,
give the
wow.
tax department like a list of companies that are willing to buy our beer that would equal at least 500 barrels per year.
No kidding. How do you go about doing that?
Well,
You
that's tough. I mean, you
going
can't just
door to door?
yeah, you can't just like step over in Japan and go, oh, I want to start a brewery, and then so it's like definitely that's where some time over at Gotemba Kogan really helped out. I got to know some different distributors and other people through going through to beer festivals and stuff like that. And so
Uh-huh.
I was able to get enough people to sign on to where they would guarantee purchase beer from us and stuff like that. But
Wow,
that it'd be tough
sounds
to do.
really arduous.
Yeah, and so yeah, we've got some weird rules since we are just beer brewing. If we wanted to, we could get both licenses, and we could do hop shoe and stuff like this. But our hands are tied, like even when it comes to dry hopping. So we can't dry hop any beers or anything like that. Otherwise, it wouldn't be beer. And so,
Wow. Wow.
if we really want to get another license, we could, but we like the way things are right now, and so we're probably just keep it the way it is. But some weird differences between the U.S. and Japan, and then
That's fascinating. Have you ever had any of your contract customers request to dry hop or something like that, where
oh yeah, they've
you were
wanted other
tempted to
stuff.
go
And
for the other license?
basically, I mean, they've asked to, and we basically just said we can't with a beer brewing license, and we've never had like an account where it makes sense to actually go ahead and get the other license. We'll just basically say no, and then like we just had a pretty unique request over here recently. There was a brewery that came over here that is in a program where they're trying to reuse rice, and or they'll get certain rice and they want to make a beer out of it. And so there's some crazy decoction mode that like our brew that they wanted to do with it and stuff. And I was like going, we got a beer brewing license, not really going to do that. But for some reason, they were just getting like rice that wasn't being used. And then they wanted to brew with it. And
Like,
so,
well, I've had coming from California, there are a lot of rice producers there, and I am aware of a grade of rice that comes out of the mills where the kernels are broken,
mm,
and those are not really suitable for food grade because
mm,
they're all broken. The kernels are
mm,
broken, but otherwise it's perfectly fine. I wonder if
mm.
it was something like that.
I'm not sure. It was kind of weird. And we're just like going, yeah, we're probably not going to do that. We did one pretty cool rice beer over at when I was with Kogan. For New
Hmm.
Year's, we'd always do a black rice beer. So we do a decoction brewing on that one. So
Ah,
that always mixes up the day and makes it quite a bit longer and stuff like that. But it's kind
right.
of different and kind of fun to do every now and then.
Oh
So
yeah. Do you
like
have a mash cooker in your brew house? Do you have a decoction kettle?
yeah, like we if we wanted to, we could do a decoction, and so it's not necessarily like a cooker, but I'd say like we've got um, the mash tun and the kettle are basically both the same, and so we've got a 4 vessel system, and then we can just bring it over to the louder tun really also, and we did a decoction with just 3 vessels before. Like the one that we did over at Kogan, we'd start off in the kettle, and then
Hmm.
we'd bring over to the louder tun, and then we'd start another one in the kettle and bring the louder tun back over to the kettle and stuff like that.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
pretty wild. So, but over here we've got like 4 vessels, and we could do it pretty easily.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. Hmm.
But that's a
Do
long
you
day.
think that? Sorry, go ahead.
No, that makes the day quite a bit longer, and no thanks.
I hear you. I hear you. We occasionally will do a decoction, but we don't have a mash cooker, so we'll kind of do the. I don't know. It's kind of a traditional, older method where we'll go through a series of step rests in the mash tun,
Mhm.
finishing in the I don't know alpha amylase range, for example, and then we'll transfer 2/3 of it to the louder tun at that rest temperature, and then the rest will continue in the louder while we're bringing the remaining mash and the mash tun up to a boil.
Okay,
And we'll
that's
boil that.
basically.
Yep, and then we'll transfer that over and mix it all up, and then you end up at your mash off temperature after that has mixed. So that's the best we can do.
But yeah, back to some tax too. It's like one thing that's not too fun for the little guy over here is just we're taxed to hell on beer over here. We pay a lot to the government. You'd be pretty surprised. Like usually right now, maybe it's about 210, 220 yen per liter or something like that. So if that were dollars right now, it's about like $1.14 per liter. It goes straight to the government.
Wow,
So that's a lot of money.
that is
So,
huge.
and
Holy
then
cow.
yeah.
What are the I don't know, are there brackets there? Or like in a lot of countries I know it's dependent on what the ABV is or your original gravity, for example, different sort of scenarios there. Is it flat rate? If it's beer, it's this?
Yep, it's absolutely fair. Like, yeah, you could have like a barley wine, and you could have like a super like a 4% like gold ale or something like that. Both are charged the same amount of tax. And then
Wow.
Hapashu, like I was saying, it's a little bit lesser. I think it's about 135 yen. So they're charged about maybe 73 cents per liter. And then
Yeah, so hence the motivation for the Hapashu and
yeah, and
using
stuff
that.
like that. Yeah, we're taxed so much tax over here, and it hurts. But oh well, nothing that we can do about it.
Well, you've been navigating all of this, craziness for 14 years, and you're surviving. So I'm super, super glad
Oh
about
yeah,
that, and
oh,
congratulations, by the way.
thanks.
I mean, wow.
Nah, we're still here. Yeah, we're still doggy paddling around and stuff like that. So we're doing all right.
I remember seeing a picture of you. This is some years ago. You were delivering a keg of beer on a hand truck on the
Oh,
train or on the
that's
subway or something.
old school days. Yeah, you'd sometimes still get me on a train. Like, I think somebody, what was that? Somebody ordered last minute, and like the shipping already went out or something like that. And I'm just like, let's do a sale. I'll just hop on the train, and yeah, I'm got a hand truck on the train and delivering beer and stuff like that. That was quite a while. I don't think I'm doing that anymore.
That's incredible. Well, what's the craft beer scene like there? I mean, how's the feeling of camaraderie and support and events and all that? What's it like?
It's uh, pretty fun, like these days we used to do a lot more festival stuff and get to know a lot of the brewers, like when we were a little bit younger and more of a fledgling company and stuff like that. But we kind of don't do quite as many festivals anymore. But it's really just a fun atmosphere, and like definitely it's more of a pretty small community. So most of the brewers kind of know each other and stuff like that already, and it's just pretty fun, pretty free flowing information and stuff like that, just about technical stuff if you want, and then just everyone's looking to get craft beer a little bit bigger, so everyone's like together and into it for the right reason and stuff like that. And so what I would notice is that the craft beer community has gotten a lot more American, probably throughout the last like 10 years especially, and stuff like that. So a lot of the
What do you mean by that?
just a lot more of the kind of hardcore kind of like IPAs, and a lot more of the super hopped up beers and American styles, and um, let's see, like the New England craze that was, I'm not sure if it's still going on or not, but New England,
Oh, it
I guess
is, yeah.
the hazies are super popular with some of the craft beer guys and stuff like that. So definitely
Huh.
you can see it's from the time that I started to right now, there's definitely been a big change from a lot more traditional, kind of more German styles to more fun, kind of crazy America, like let's go a little wild kind of styles and stuff like that. But
Okay.
a lot,
And
a lot,
how's
a lot,
that going over within the craft customer base?
well, the people that are already into craft beer and stuff like that, they just love it, and they'll go to any ends to like go seek and find out like who's doing what and where and stuff like that. So a lot of the real smaller breweries are having a lot of fun doing that, and they can do some wild stuff. A lot of the more medium to bigger guys, they're doing a little bit more traditional stuff, like because you really are catering to the average Japanese person. A lot of people don't really know what a lot of the big IPAs and stuff like that are. So even a lot of our customers, kind of the way we started out, and what we're always probably going to be is just a little bit more traditional, and we kind of cater to pretty much your average Joe Japanese entry level kind of craft beer person. Either someone that hasn't had craft beer before. There's actually a lot of people over here that's never had craft beer or anything like that.
Oh yeah,
So,
I'm
I don't
sure.
know. Like,
Sure.
is that kind of, would that seem strange if someone said that in the States, or?
No, I mean you can say that too. I mean we have an expression in our tap room in both locations that every single day somebody walks in who's never had our beer before, and
Mm,
they've never had kind of, I guess, how we would define, kind of American craft beer before. A lot of people are, for example, maybe they're not really beer drinkers. Maybe
mm,
they, kind of are used to, some certain macro breweries. Maybe they're brand loyal, and they're, for whatever reason, they walk in our place, and that kind of first impression is so huge. And I've definitely seen this happen a number of times where somebody will walk in and they'll say, I'm not really sure about beer. You know, what do you have that's not hoppy? And what they
mm,
mean by that isn't that they don't like hops. They just don't want something that's bitter.
right.
And so, if you give them even a pale ale, they're probably going to hate craft beer forever. So
Yeah.
you have to be really sensitive to where people are coming from, and what their expectations are, and how adventurous they are.
Mm. So
Because
yeah,
we all know that a lot of the beers that we know and love today as brewers were an acquired taste, let's say, over time.
yeah, that's kind of like the reason why we selected, the three different styles that we do and stuff like that. So we'll go to a beer festival, and like I said, we don't go to that many festivals anymore. And usually the ones that we go to, are more of the local ones where we're really getting a lot of people that, again, like are kind of new to craft beer or haven't tried it yet. And so we've got our golden ale. We always, like, someone goes, hey, like, all right, we've got, usually most people just say, yeah, I'll take one of those beers. And then, we've got three different styles, and we've got to explain each one. And so basically we just go to like our golden ale is basically just, like the lightest. So it's like we say nomiyasui, it just means lightest tasting. Go for that if you want. And then all we say is, if you want bitter, have pale. If you want dark, have the porter and stuff like that. So you say
Yeah.
basically just like three different words, and then someone decides, and usually they're pretty pleasantly surprised. So about how good it is. But sometimes
Yeah.
you'll, like you said, there's that one guy that might have a pale ale and not expect bitterness, and then never try something again. So I remember being at one festival like before, where there's this older gentleman that comes up to us, and he's like, kind of, what is this? And we're just like, oh, like a craft beer, or um, and then he's like, no, I've had that before. And then just like keeps walking on. And so
Yeah.
basically, and so there's people like that. And then craft beer is definitely getting bigger and bigger and more powerful over here.
Is
But
there
still,
is
it's
there
not big.
some kind of a I don't know, craft brewers organization formally in Japan, something like MBAA or something like that?
Yeah, there's I think the closest thing to that might be the JCBA, which is the Japan Craft Beer Association.
Hmm.
And so they throw some festivals, and um, they also do some training as far as getting to know styles and off flavors. I think they have some kind of certificate for like being a craft beer judge and stuff like that. Even so, there's
Okay.
some different stuff like that out there.
Do they work in
But
the community for educating restaurants or pubs or things like that?
not that I know of. I'm not really that involved, so maybe they do events and stuff like that, but not that much. There, I don't think there's that much similar to like the MBAA of the Americas or something like that. I don't know if they have anything quite like that here.
Okay. Hmm. Well, what about I think we're kind of coming up on time here for the show.
Mhm.
I'd like to ask you a little bit about um, you know Japanese beer tourism recommendations. I know a lot of people who have it on their bucket list to get over to Japan, and everybody that I know is
Mhm.
a craft beer fan. And so
Oh,
anybody that I know who wants to go to Japan wants to drink Japanese craft beer too. What
geez.
recommendations might you have for that?
There's so many good ones out there. If you're going, I'll come back to like Tokyo later. Like if you want to get outside of the city and go out to the countryside a little bit. I mentioned him earlier. Brian Baird started up Baird Brewing Company, and I think
Yeah.
he sells quite a bit over in the states too. You can find a Baird over there, but he ended up building a beautiful brewery out in the countryside over there. He started in New Mazu, which was over on the coast, and then now he's like a little bit more inland over on the Izu Peninsula. But it's kind of like a destination brewery. I think they've got camping out there and stuff like that. You can even spend the night or something like that if you want. You'd have to check with them, but it's really a beautiful brewery. It's very like Sierra Nevada esque and stuff like that. Just a
Wow.
beautiful, clean, modern brewery and stuff like that. A lot of good different styles that they do. So check them out. My number one all-time favorite that gets me out there sometimes is a guy that you might remember. Do you remember meeting a guy named Stefan Roger
Oh
who came
yeah, I
through Japan?
do.
He was doing the
German guy. He
centrifuge.
was working for a filtration company way back when I met him.
Yeah, I think he was doing Alpha Laval work or something like that. And then it was kind of wild because right when we moved to Japan, he went over to Sierra Nevada to do some trials and stuff like that.
That's
And
when I
so
met him. Yeah, God,
that's
that
when
was right.
we,
That was right when you moved.
yeah, no, it was wild. It was like
Oh,
we
jeez.
we we crossed paths, like in the Pacific or something like that. And so but
No
he's
kidding.
become a really good friend and stuff like that. And then he makes the best German beer I've ever had. It's you got to have it. I mean, it's probably the best beer in Japan and stuff like that. So he
Wow,
usually does
where's
have
that located?
a Pilsner or Weizen over near Mount Fuji as well. And so it's over in a town called Fujinomiya. And there's some beautiful waterfalls over near there too. It's probably just like maybe 10-minute hike away from his brewery or something like that. It's called a Shiraito no Taki Waterfalls, which means white strings. And it's a really cool kind of like a spiraling kind of stairs that lead you down to just a gorgeous like waterfall that comes down and stuff like that. So that's where
Wow.
his brewery is at. And then he's got an attached little restaurant and stuff like that. So you can grab a bite to eat and get some beers over there. It's called Bayernmeister Beer.
Bayernmeister beer. Okay.
Mhm.
Wow,
So,
that sounds awesome.
and then Yeah, he's a great guy. So we still keep in touch, and we actually ended up buying a separator centrifuge from him. So he's like got this little mini separator centrifuge, like an old Westphalia one that I had my eyes on for a long time, and then finally we bought it like maybe about 6 or 7 years ago or something like that. So we sometimes mess around with it. We don't use it for all our brews, but every now and then we'll bust out the centrifuge. So,
Wow.
but no, he also he's just like an absolute beer genius. So he's pretty fun. And then let's see, those are probably the two out, day trip from Tokyo countryside. In the city, there's some pretty good ones. The Double Craft guys are pretty um, fun people. They've got some great like Chicago style pizza places that they do, as well as some really good beers. I think they just won a golden medal at the recent like WBC and stuff like that. So it's
Wow.
kind of three Americans that started up a brewery, and then they've got about maybe 3 or 4 different pubs and stuff like that. So see those guys. I am forgetting everyone. Probably gonna piss some people off. I don't know. But, yeah.
Well, I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm the
Oh,
same way. It's always funny what comes to mind right away, and then later you're like, oh,
I'm like,
what?
oh, nope, I should have used these and stuff like that. So, oh well. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll get back to you on some emails and go, oh, I should have said this.
Yeah.
We'll,
Fair
we'll talk
enough.
to
Fair
we'll
enough.
talk to the editor and just like have them put in a few more people or something like that. So
Oh,
no,
perfect. Perfect. Well, I know you're needing to start your day at work there. You're what, 16 hours ahead of us or something here.
yeah, I
Um,
guess it's what maybe 9:17 over here. So you guys are what
7:17 p.m.
seven
the night
seventeen.
before.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, this is probably the first podcast for you guys that are spans over 2 days or something like that.
Right. Well, it's been so good to talk to you, Scott. It's been too long, man. I'll make a pledge. We got to stay in touch more often.
Yeah, definitely. So that, and then maybe we can meet up one of these days. I think our kid's looking into college age right now and stuff like. He's looking into colleges, and so Chico's on his list. So if he ever makes it to Chico, we'll have a more time where maybe we can meet up on the West Coast or something like that. So
Well, that sounds awesome. Well,
that, and you're always welcome if you ever find yourself in Japan for some reason. So
I have it. I'm one of those, as I mentioned. It's on my bucket list, and I sincerely hope I have a chance to one day. When I do, my first stop will be Brimmer Brewing Company,
excellent.
for
We'd
sure.
love to have you. So awesome. Thank you so much for everything, Scott, and good to see you and great to catch up. So look forward to next time.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. So thanks a lot, Scott, and thanks everybody. Scott will be back on the next episode with as host to another brewer of his choosing. I'm sure it'll be fascinating. Of course, that'll be
I'm
in the
trying.
coming weeks. Um, Remember, for everybody out there, visit allaboutbeer.com and follow on social media to support journalism in the beer space. Check out patreon.com/allaboutbeer. Once again, I'm Scott Jennings of Sierra Nevada. Thanks, everybody, and a huge thanks to Scott Brimmer for joining us today. Take care. Bye bye.
And this episode was brought to you by Cinnamon. Cinnamon brings a familiar sense of comfort and warmth to cold seasonal brews. First Tea is your source for teas and botanicals like cinnamon that fit the season and unique flavor profiles you're looking for. Email info@firsttea.com. That's FIRSDTEA to find out more.
Attention brewers. Registration is now open for the 2025 Best of Craft Beer Awards. This is a BJCP sanctioned competition judged by fellow brewers and industry leaders. It uses a unique set of style guidelines that champions harmonious and dynamic beers. Held in beautiful Central Oregon, It's the third largest professional brewing competition in North America and is an opportunity to have your hard work evaluated and rewarded. In addition to traditional and specialty beer styles, new this year is the hop water category. Register your beers through January 31, 2025 by visiting bestofcraftbeerawards.com/register. Don't delay. Learn more and get your beers signed up by visiting bestofcraftbeerawards.com/register.
I'm David Seiler from Stone's Throw Brewing in Charleston, South Carolina, and I use Malt Europe because they have great products and customer service. The new warehouse has been an amazing upgrade to Malt Europe service, which I really didn't think was even possible. The short turnaround time has been great for me. Being able to pivot and change brew days is crucial to any brewery. The ability to switch things at the end of the week, knowing I'll have grain within a couple of days for placing my order, means I can be much more fluid with my brew days. It has severely decreased my anxiety as a planner, and less stress is such a great feeling. Contact Malt Europe today and visit malteuropemaltingco.com.